This is Micornus, Phokane, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. I want to speak to pastors today, and I want to speak about how to develop your church board members to become great leaders, how to develop your church board members or your elders to become great leaders. And this is very important because if you want to run a successful church as a pastor, you need your leadership to be strong as well. You need them to be at the level of your own leadership so that you can be able to run the church even when you're not present. So you will need people that will be able to be the fortress of the church even when you are not present at all. Now, this is very important that you develop then your board members, your leadership. We talk about your elders and develop them to a level that they can be able to run independently. And that's the reason why we, in this platform, Restoring Godly Order in the House of the Orderly God, we are basically speaking about this topic because this topic is very important. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to appoint them into specific roles. You appoint your own board members into specific roles. Let them be in charge of departments. Let them be in charge of certain areas in the ministry. So let them know exactly what role do they play, because if you have got a board or you got elders that are just concocted into a group that they don't know exactly what their roles are, then they become less effective. But we are speaking about when you start to allocate them the roles that they need to do. So one could be maybe overseeing the ushers and the counseling. Maybe the other one overseeing the outreach department, for instance. And you have one maybe overseeing departments like helps ministries. So you basically need to allocate departments under them so that they can be able to show what they are made of. They can be able to really articulate their skills and their roles actually clear as they are. They are able actually to focus on doing the right things because they know exactly what to do. So when you don't allocate to them, then that becomes very, very important. Now, from the importance of appointing them, when you appoint elders, of course, you don't appoint them for certain number. You don't say, I need so much number of elders. You basically appoint them based on vacancies of departments or roles that you want to appoint them into. So you basically see the need for appointing a new elder based on what you want them to do. So in other words, the role must come first, or the duties must come first before you even think of to appoint people. So that whoever you appoint them basically with the skills shaped to the particular role that you want to allocate them to. And that becomes very important because if you appoint people just for the sake of appointing people, they will be there, but they don't know what to do. And as a result, they don't even have roles that they are playing in the ministry. The second thing is you need to subject them to training. And I know that many churches or many leaders in churches don't train their own leaders. They always look at plugging them to play. They plug them into the role and they expect them to be running with it. But remember that amongst the people that you appoint as elders, others don't have an experience of church leadership. They don't have experience of administration of a church. So therefore, they may actually come with an experience of corporate work, maybe from a company, corporate company. But it's totally different to run spiritual issues or spiritual matters compared to corporate matters. So totally different. So therefore, you cannot run a church purely like a company. It's totally different because a church then is a spiritual setup that needs to be run in a spiritual manner. So even though you may get an experience of somebody who's maybe a CEO in a company, put them into becoming elders in the church, that doesn't make them actually skillful for the work of the church. And that's the reason why we want to emphasize that as Church Governance Solutions, we are able to train also leadership of churches into church matters, into administration of churches, into the governance of churches and running churches. And we are available for you as a pastor if you are setting up a leadership board and leadership eldership that you need them to be trained. We have got those skills to train them for you, to assist you in training them. But you need to train them so that they know exactly what to do. As I'm emphasizing the fact that they may be skillful from the corporate, from the secular world, but that becomes totally different because the church runs differently. Now, you need to also expose them to other duties. It's not only the duties that you've actually allocated them, but make them to be people that are skillful in every single department. Let them know how to manage ushering and counseling while they are in helps ministries. Let them be able to manage the outreach department while they are in helps ministries. So let them know all the duties, like sort of a system like the bank where they actually expose everybody to very different departments so that they become very much experienced in what they're doing. So that becomes actually the master stroke when you are actually exposing them to different departments. Let them learn each and every department so that they can stand in when leaders of those departments are not there. They may know everything actually on how to run the church, and that becomes very important. And we have seen in areas where people have been exposed to different departments, they mature quickly and they learn quickly, and they become actually more resourceful in that particular church when you've exposed them that way. You need to afford them opportunity of public speaking as well, because majority of the elders, they are actual submarine in a church where even people don't even know them, because they hardly go to the platform doing announcements. They hardly go to speak on the podium and so on. And it's very important that you introduce them slowly into public speaking so that they become able to be confident enough to address the people either in the department or the whole church at large. So it's very important then that elders mature into public speaking, but they cannot mature into public speaking unless if they are afforded opportunity to speak in public in the particular church. And that's very important, that all elders then become very exposed to public speaking. And it's going to be the prerogative of you as a pastor or as a visionary to afford them space or a place to become public speakers in the very same church. It could be in small meetings like home cells. It could be in small meetings like, say, prayer meetings where you're gathering and they're leading in prayers, and on all those, let them be exposed but it's very important that you make sure that they get exposed to public speaking, because that's very, very important skill for them to be able to address the church, to address the departments, as I've mentioned earlier. You need to invite them along when ministering somewhere, because most of the time when you get to be ministering somewhere, the exposure of your elders to different setups of different churches just give them actually a push to be able actually to construct systems in the church that they've learned from somewhere else. And I must really say that there will always be a church that is better than yours. There will always be people that are running a church much more better than yours. And those are the people that generally are inviting you, say, as a guest speaker, you yourself as a visionary. So invite your elders to come along. Let them come and observe. Let them come and see how other churches are operating. Let them come and see how departments have been set and run. And it's very important that you do expose them to different churches wherever you are being invited. And we've seen people that get exposure, they actually learn faster and they become people that are more resourceful in the church. Now, elders that are not exposed to see how other churches have been done, they actually swallow themselves within the very same corner of their own church, and they end up not growing or even expanding actually the skills in the church, because they think that they've reached the peak. And when they start to expose themselves into other churches and see how churches are ran and how other churches are being done, and they are actually seeing things differently, and therefore they start to implement some systems that they've learned from other churches as well. Now, it's also very important that you introduce them to guest speakers, because we have seen senior pastors that don't want to expose their own people to guest speakers when they come through. They don't want to introduce them. And that's very important that you do, because the more they rub shoulders with people that are actually popular and skilled in what they're doing, people that are really ministers of the gospel and so on, they get inspired as well. Because you need your leadership to be inspired to become better people. And you don't want them to actually end up where they are. You want them to grow to a level where they can also be ministers as well. So that's very important then, that you get to introduce them, you get to make them sit around the table when you're having coffee with your guest speakers as well. Maybe after the service, you get to expose them to people that are coming from outside, those that they could be admiring from a distance. And that's an opportunity for them to meet those people when you've invited them in your church. And this is very important. And when you make it a habit to make your own elders to meet such people, because a drop of a word and an inspiration will actually inspire them, and they would actually desire to become better based on who they've met. Remember that association always builds actually character in a way, because association actually builds the dreams that you have, and it brings about inspiration actually when you meet people that you admire from a distance. Now, it's also very important that you give opportunity to chair the board meetings as well. Your own board meetings, please rotate them. Allow them to chair the meetings. Allow them to lead and draft also the agenda of the meeting and be able to chair the meeting, and allow them to really feel that they are in charge at some stage. So this is very important as well, because it actually gives them confidence. It makes them to know that they can actually chair the meetings and lead. They can actually address the leadership as well. So that actually gives them confidence, and that becomes very important that we mention that as well. So please make sure that you allow them decisions-making freedom, that they are free to make decisions within the departments that you've given them. If they are leading ushering and counseling, for instance, let them make decisions of how to shape up, on how to do things, and then also allow them to make decisions actually how to improve those departments. And that's very important. But when you start to step in and interfere in decision making, you don't allow them to grow. And they are not going to feel confident to make decisions tomorrow. So therefore, allow them freedom of making decisions in those departments. And as you do so, then they mature into a level where they can make decisions and structure those departments in a desirable manner. And they can improve those departments actually to the capacity that they have. And that's very important, that you allow them to make free decisions as well. Applaud them for good performance. When they've done well, clap hands for them, encourage them, tell them they've done well. Don't just be quiet about it. Encourage them, because they want that applause from you as a leader. They want that appreciation. They want that encouragement that they're doing well, and that will actually inspire them to do well even tomorrow. Lastly, conduct individual coaching sessions as well, because you would observe them on how they do things, and you would know what is their developmental areas. You would know actually an improvement places where they need to improve. So therefore, you will put up improvement plan as you coach them. You are able to actually coach them in a certain way, and at that particular point, put up improvement plans and let them learn from there and become better. So that's very important that you do so. So the individual coaching session is not actually to bash them. It's not to tell them how bad they are doing. It's basically just to encourage them and tell them how good they are doing, and also coach them on where they can develop and become better. Now, I hope that this helps. I want to end up here today. Your host, Micornus Phokane. I'm the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. Remember, on this platform, we are restoring godly order in the house of the orderly God. And I hope that you've learned quite a bit. Before we check out right now, I want you to remember our social media platforms. Our Facebook page is Church Governance Solutions, and also my personal Facebook page, Micornus Phokane. So like those pages, click the notification button as well. Our YouTube channel under Young Men Empowerment Forum. So please make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. There are a lot of videos that we've posted in the past. Just subscribe, click the notification button as well. And we've got a TikTok account as well under Micornus Phokane, and we also have Instagram under Micornus Phokane. So those platforms are there for you. But not only for you, but share them to your loved ones as well, your friends, your colleagues. It could be your family members as well that need to listen to these particular teachings. May the good Lord bless you. Until we meet again with another topic, allow us to check out right here and say cheers for now.